Hey, good morning, everybody. Irish Prepper 2A here, and today I am doing a special project just for me for an event that I have coming up. I wanted to make some Ranger beads or paste beads, they've been called before, and I was toying around with different ideas. Normally, they do them with pony beads on some gutted paracord, and I really didn't like that option, at least with the beads that were readily available to me. They were small. I thought, what if it's cold out? Your finger dexterity isn't real good. What if you have gloves on? Things like that. They're plastic. If they get cold, they can crack. If you step on them, drop them, uh, you could, definitely ruin your paste beads. So then I thought, well, the next best thing would be to do a one that's basically indestructible for everything save burning. And that was to do a paracord Ranger bead setup. And I did some research and looked at some tutorials and essentially made this, and that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to walk you through the process that it took me to make this Ranger bead setup. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so the first things you're going to need for this paracord Ranger bead setup is obviously your cordage. You're going to want to have a piece for the main body. I chose a piece it's a little over 3 foot long. A lot of people will say you only need something about 2 foot long, but they're doing it with traditional plastic beads or, some other type of bead, not a woven bead like we're going to be doing here today. So yeah, I went with just over 3 feet. That should be enough for trial and error. Make sure that I have enough going on here, because it was I can always remove material. It's very difficult to add it. As a wise old carpenter once told me, he said, boy, no matter how many times I cut that board, it was still too short. Same principle applies here. So we're going to have our main body cord, which I'm going with black. And then I'm going to have the bead cord. And I'm going to do that in orange. Now, you really don't need any tools to do this per se, but it will make your life a heck of a lot easier. And the tools that you need are very simple. A pair of scissors. Doesn't have to be a pair like this. Those are just happen to be some really sharp scissors that I have. A little pair of needle nose pliers. Because I'm going with the orange cord, just make sure that the jaws are clean. I don't want to spend time making a cool little Ranger bead paracord kit and have grease or dirt on it. And also a pencil or some type of dowel rod. As thin as the material is, the better. And don't worry, I'm going to show you why all of this is important. So most of these are tools that you can find around your house. Most houses are going to have something like this. So without any further ado, let's get right to it, okay? All right. So I am using a much larger piece of paracord than what I've been doing to create these beads. However, I went with a larger one so that it would be easier for demonstration purposes. So you want to get a piece of cord and you want to go over and create a loop like that, okay? See, that's right on top. All right, you want to get another loop over, repeating the same motion, okay, right on top. See, that's right on top. Now you have that middle portion there. That's going to be important. You're going to thread through, creating a third loop right there. Come back through the middle, and down and out. All right. Keep your cordage neat. Try not to let it kink and bind and get any twists in there. All right. So then we're going to come down and back through that outer loop, that third loop that we created. Now you see in the center there, there's one that is almost like a triangular shape versus the rest of these ones are oval. After you come through that outer loop, you're going to come back through and block that off. That's your cinch line. That's the point you want to go for. Okay? And that's the beginning of the knot. Now you're going to have some loose ends, and that's why the pencil and the pliers are going to come in handy. I'm going to work on that right now. Stick with me. Alright, so there is the beginning of our paracord bead. Here's where the pencil comes into play. I'm going to just slide that over, and I'm going to cinch this down as tight as I can. But I'm not going to get very far. I'm going to have a lot of slop. See all that? So now what I want to do is tighten up that slop, and here's where the needle nose pliers are going to be your friend. Are really going to help take up the slack and get that bead good and cinched. And if you have to pay attention, pay attention to what you're doing, and you can see where the knot is going to need tightened. All right, right there, we'll cinch it up again. Pull that sucker tight, man. The tighter the better. Cinch. Cinch. Pull. These are pain, man. But hopefully at the end of the day it'll be cool. Just there. And one more time, pull it tight. There you go. So you're basically going to have something like that. Okay, now I did the demonstration knot out of a really long piece of paracord, and I made it big so that you could see the loop sections and how they work and how to thread it. Okay? In reality, when making a paracord bead, I would much rather work with a smaller section, and it's going to be to your advantage to practice this and actually make it smaller. That's going to help you in the long run. Thread that through. Get that tiny little loop going off on the side. Back and through. Down. And come on, in there. So you see how much smaller that is than the last one. Put that on our dowel rod, cinch it up. So, I'm almost there already. So now I can just take my pliers. If you don't have pliers, you can work this by hand. It's just much more difficult. The pliers give you great leverage. Pulling through, grabbing the bite, pull it. And when you're working smaller like this, it's easier to see how the knot is feeding so that you're not pulling unnecessarily. Like right here, got a little bit of slop there. See that? Pull that tight. And we are there. That's our first one. That's our first paracord bead. We finished all the knots. There's 13 in total, because you're going to have 9 at the bottom, 4 at the top. That's how you work the Ranger beads. So, threading them all, I know this looks like a big mess right now. But, you know, you need those ends to pull off. You know, if you can do it with less, good on you. That's cool. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to get these attached to the paracord body. And I'm just going to use this piece here to demonstrate. You can just like go and tie an overhand knot right in here to give you a loop at the top. Something like that would be fine. That's just fine, and that's how most folks do it. Because I'm doing this set for personal use, I just wanted to put an extra little bit of bling on it. So I went with a double dragon knot. I just think they're cool looking. There's no reason why you have to do it. You don't have to do this. You know, some people will say, you know, why did you even do that? Well, you know, it's for me. You don't have to use it. It's, you know, do what you will. You can let your imagination run wild, you know. So, yeah, I wanted to do a double dragon knot just because I think they're kind of cool looking. And I thought, why not? So, what I want to do next is I'm going to thread 4 beads onto this. And I will take one off the pencil here. And I'll start to thread my main body down through the hole. There we go. Slide that up. Now once I get that up here, what I also want to do is give that an extra cinch down on and create some friction on there. So I want to pull that as tight as possible. And I think that's about as good as it's going to get. So the next thing I'm going to do is, before I get anything else on here to interfere, I am going to trim the end off. You know, just a little ways away from the main body of the knot. There we go. Now I want to carefully, very carefully close these ends up. And yes, you are melting nylon, so it stings a little bit. Ow. Yeah, it hurts. Then what you can even do is just take your multi-tool and mushroom that up. Just like that. And there you go. That's your first bead. It'll slide, go back up. You're going to repeat that 4 more times, or I'm sorry, 3 more times for a total of 4. And then we're going to knot, put an overhand knot here. Then we're going to run 9 and put a stopper knot at the bottom. So I'm going to finish that up and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so as I said, we got our first row on there. And I tied a stopper knot, just an overhand knot right there. Didn't get too fancy on that, but that'll work. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. Put them back. And now I'm starting to work on the bottom row, and this is where there's going to be 9. So I got the first one on, 8 more to go, and we'll finish this off. Alright guys, so the project is finally done. This was our end product. You have the 9 beads at the bottom. 8, 9, 4 at the top with the stop knots. And I mean, I was cutting it close. That was extremely close for putting this thing together. I'm glad I went with the extra, because anything less and this would not have happened. Mind you, I am using full paracord with all the innards in it. So this was not just the outer sheathing. This is full 550 paracord that I put in here. And has an overall length just over 13 inches overall. Actually 14 total. So yeah, 14 total inches. This would have been smaller had I used beads, pony beads, and gutted the paracord. We probably could have shrunk this down a little bit more, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do a paracord Ranger bead. So that's what you end up with. So you can expect a project like this to take you anywhere from 2 hours, little over 2 hours, depending on, you know, how long you go at it, how much you might practice beforehand, how adept you are at, you know, making the paracord beads and whatnot. So yeah, this took me, let's see, what time is it now? We're almost 11:45, so yeah, this took just over 2 hours to do. As I said, the major labor is in making these and then putting them on a cord. This here is my waste pile of clippings from the beads. Still have that much paracord. I mean, I didn't even finish taking off the outer wrap to make those beads. So yeah, it was you know, definitely material effective. So guys, that's a paracord Ranger bead setup. Hope you enjoyed the video. Till next time, you all take care. Have a blessed day. Irish Prepper 2A signing off.